Um, Yesterday I didn't put the recording on the YouTube from this year because we had such a spirited discussion, and I was working it out. But thanks to Benedict and Rabbi Yosef, we came up with the following. So the question is, as we go to the end of the parsha, the question is, this is my question. We read in Parashat Beshalach yesterday. Let me just say we're in chapter 17, verse 9. It says that Amalek came to fight with the Jewish people in Rephidim, and Moshe said to Yoshua, choose for us men and go out and wage war against Amalek. Right? So he said, choose for us men and go out and wage war against Amalek. Baruch atah Adonai Melech HaMashiach, name of the world. But then I was worried because how come he had to go out and wage war against Amalek when at the beginning of the portion, it says that when Paro was chasing after the Jewish people, it says there was a cloud walking in front of them during the day and a fire at night. And the pillar of the cloud never moved. So it never moved. And the cloud was there to protect them. That the cloud would protect them. So the question is, if that's the case, where was the pillar of cloud here? Where was the pillar of cloud? So why does Joshua have to go out? Instead of sending Joshua out, it should have said that come run into the cloud and we'll run away and the cloud will protect us. So the question I had was, why does Joshua have to go? Where was the cloud? So about that, Benedict cited the Rashi later on, the Midrash, which says that the cloud did not protect those who had sinned, that they were thrown out of the cloud. So therefore, since the cloud was not protecting them, Joshua had to go out of the cloud to protect them, because they weren't protected by the cloud because they sinned. And the Amalek was coming right after. They said, is God in our midst or not? But I was also thinking we could say like this: a cloud is all fine and dandy if you're still in, the slave mentality, like where you're totally dependent. It's like you're in the womb. It's like you're in the womb, you're being nourished by God. And it's also like a siege mentality. We're in the bubble. But once you want to be able to become a nation, hey, wow. Amazing. Well, why not eat it now before it gets cold? But you could bring it in here to put on the table here, and we'll bring in the plates. Did he get plates? But tell him the cookies are for Shabbos. The cookies are for Shabbos. Tell him to put the cookies on the counter next to the stove. But the pizza's for now. The cookies are for Shabbos. We have to have special Shabbos cookies. So I was thinking like this. You can't stay in the cloud when you're a nation. Like, can you imagine the whole nation? Like, you got to go to Wall Street. You got to go to your job in the federal government, in the parks, or in whatever job you have. You have to go to it. You can't stay in the cloud. So the cloud. Oh, thank you, Colby. Colby, I need a hug, Colby. I need a hug. Hug it out. Yeah. Moshe.
You're an amazing guy.
Thank you, Moshe. You have the total how much I owe you, Moshe? You got it written down? All right. For the pizza and the cookies. All righty. Moshe, thank you so much. Amazing. Yeah, you can have some now and offer Mordechai and Aviva and Shepsel. Yes, and also Shepsel, make sure Thera gets one. Okay, so I was thinking like this. You can't live in a cloud your whole life. You can't stay in the cloud your whole life. You have to go out of the cloud sometimes. So, right. So when the enemy was coming to attack them at this stage, they were too mature for the cloud. They couldn't just leave the enemy right outside the cloud. They had to go out and defeat them. And that was a sign of their strength. That was a sign of their strength. So anyway, that was the thought I had about the cloud. So okay, so now we continue. Benji, have some pizza.
You can make me the co-host now.
Oh my gosh. You know what? Why didn't we get fries? Why didn't we get fries? Fries are just a potato with oil. We could have just gotten 4 big potatoes and stuck them in the oven. But Sunday morning we're going to do something big. Sunday morning our son is putting on the film for the first time. So we're going to have a big party. Yeah, it's going to be very special. Very special. Here, grab a chumash, Benji, from over there. Okay, so now we go on. So Moshe says to Joshua, go out and wage war. We got very caught up with that. Now we go to the next pasuk. It says, oh, actually, I skipped a very important one. Pasuk Yud. It says, Vayas Yoshua kasher amaro Moshe. Joshua did like Moses said to him, Lilachem b'Amalek, to wage war against Amalek. Moshe, Aaron, v'Chur, alu rosh hagivah. Moshe, Aaron, and Chur went up to the top of the mountain. So, what does that mean? Moshe, Aaron, and Chur went up to the top of the mountain. Rashi says, from here we see that on a public fast you need 3 men. They were in a fast. Now, who is this Chur? He's up until this point, he's not even a tertiary figure. We never heard of him. Tur was the son of Miriam, and Kalev was her husband. So Chur was the son. Now, what happened to Chur? So the Midrash tells us by the golden calf that one of the reasons Aaron acquiesced was because Chur spoke up and tried to stop them, and they killed him. And he said, "Oh, they're going to kill Chur, so therefore I better give in." What's the page? Ask Aviva or Mordechai or Benji. Such a light. You're such a light. When we're around you, we see you shining forth. You're such a light, Benji. The joy to be around you. So I heard this Dvar Torah once from somebody. I'm not going to say his name because he did terrible things in other aspects of his life. But still, this one teaching I remembered. And the Talmud has this idea that somebody who does bad things, they record it as acher. They call him the other. They don't want to say his name. So I don't even want to say, I just want to say I remember this teaching that this rabbi taught me before I knew that he was compromised. So he said like this. He said, why Aaron and Chur going up the mountain and holding Moshe's hands? Because the Rashi tells us that they were sitting. Rashi is going to tell us that each of them was sitting on one side of Moshe. It says that in the verse as well. It says Aaron and Chur held up their hands, one on this side, one on that side. That's what the pasuk will get to. So why specifically Aaron and Chur? We understand Aaron, but why Chur of all people? Where did he come from? So it says so he said Aaron and Chur represented 2 different approaches. That Aaron was the peace lover and Chur was the hothead, going to war. So you need both. You need to be surrounded. The leader needs to be surrounded by both voices so he could judge the merit of each argument. I thought that was an interesting comment. So Moshe, Aaron, and Chur. So the pasuk tells us, "Vayakasher yarim Moshe yado v'gavar Yisrael." When Moshe lifted up his hands, Israel was stronger in battle. When he put his hands down, Amalek will be victorious. And now I have a question. A very interesting question. I say so myself because it wasn't me who asked this question. I was once studying with this man. This man, I could say, his name was Peter Pitzela. And
That's a good thing. That's a good one.
Kobe. And Kobe, come on, Kobe. And anyway, he said, why would Moshe put his hands down? If whenever they were victorious, if whenever he put his hands up, they were victorious, why would he ever put his hands down? You follow the question, Benji? So why would he ever? Yeah, hold on one second.
He was tired.
It is true that the next verse says that when his hands grew heavy, they put a stone. But it doesn't make it sense to say that beforehand. It should have said, and his hands were heavy, and he put his hands down. But here it makes it sound like, here, Alan, it's so good to see you. Have a slice of pizza.
Thank you.
Baruch Hashem. Here it makes it sound like he put the hands down even before they were tired. So why would he put his hands down? Why would he put his hands down? So I was in this group. Oh no, how are you doing? We have a slice of pizza, Baruch Hashem. I was with this group of people who were, I would say, peaceniks, like Quakers. And no, seriously, Quakers. I'm not like, it was like a gathering of many different faith leaders. I didn't know we were going to do Bible study. Normally, I only do Bible study with Jewish people because I don't want to get like Christian interpretations to become, necessarily under their influence. But this person, this was like sprung on me, so I couldn't leave without it being awkward. And the Christians were saying, oh, he was putting his hands down. So, because he said, make the fighting stop. There's too many killings already, too many killings. Make the fighting stop. Make the fighting stop. That's why Moshe was putting his hands down. What do you think of that, Sam? You don't buy that? Why not? What do you have against it?
Well, they're fighting Amalek. It's pretty
Right.
horrible people. And, not trying to give them
Well, the only thing we could say is that it's true. However, isn't it possible that this was before he knew just the extent, like God has to command him, wipe out Amalek? Maybe at this point Moshe doesn't realize that. Maybe Moshe had to learn that when it comes to evil, you can't show any quarter. Because Avram tried to save Sodom. There was the Pharaoh was given many chances. So it's possible that. But I do agree with you that it seems like they were forcing that reading, but it doesn't seem like Moshe knew that when he put his hands down, they would automatically lose the battle. So the last Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah tells us, what does Moshe's hands have to do with winning the battle? Rashi quotes the beginning of it. Was it the raising or the lowering of Moshe's hands that was actually anything to do with winning the battle? No. What is it, Benji?
It was an inspiration.
Hey, Benji. You're so good, Benji. Shikoyach, Benji. I'm so proud of you. That when the people saw their hands raised, they knew that they knew to pray to their Father in heaven. And when they saw the hands go down, they said, oh, we don't need to pray. That's what the Mishnah in Rosh Hashanah tells us, that they recognized the danger in this approach. And they didn't think that Moshe was some magician able to like conjure up the victory with his hands, like what's his name from Harry Potter, Dumbledore. No, he was not Dumbledore from Harry Potter. Anybody here you ever read the books? So it's incredible books. Who here has not read them?
Benji, you've read them, right? Yeah, send them.
Have you read them, Sam?
just movies.
No, Sam. I want to recommend to you in your retirement that you read these books. You will enjoy them a great deal. You will really, really like them. I promise you'll like them a great deal. You have they're written in a way that
anybody, no matter what age, could enjoy them. And I found them to be great works of literature.
Bro, I
Yes.
feel like they're too long. You know?
Yeah.
It's too long to read. Maybe if they were like 100.
What you need is, you see, that's a good point. Yeah, you're speaking good, Kobe, but what you need is a wife who reads it to you. That's what I had. My wife read it to me. So that's why I could close my eyes when she read. It's very,
I read my wife the memoirs of William Tecumseh Sherman.
oh my
How many
God.
minutes there?
I wouldn't get through the opening page on that one. I am reading now another book, which I think is an incredible work of literature. This is the work called Letter to Father by Kafka. If anybody wants to read something very heavy but beautiful work, it's Letter to Father by Kafka. That's what I'm reading now. A great work of literature. Okay. Yes.
You know the allegory of the scorpion, the frog, the snake, and the man. The snake is in a fire, and the man begs the man to take it out. So the man saves it, carries it out, has it carrying out of the woods, out of the fire, someplace safe. The snake bites it, and then they fall down. They're both consumed in flames. He said, "Why do you do that?" It's in my nature.
It says I'm a snake.
So they both end up dead.
Yeah.
The scorpion, the frog, or any other. There's someone
Yeah.
going across the river. Why would you do that? And the guy said, so the question then, because I spent 2 years at Quaker school.
Yeah.
And the next question that followed was, should the man not have picked up the snake? No, because it was in the man's nature to save the snake.
No, I want to save that snake. If I see a snake burning in a fire, a rattlesnake, I would not save it. Yeah, and Moshe?
They're also pretty dangerous to you, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't do something that's dangerous for me. That's the story of Amalek. You're not required, in fact, you're not allowed to let evil exist. If you let evil exist, guess what evil is going to do? It's going to kill you. It's going to destroy you. The Torah tells us, the Torah is not Quakerism. The Torah tells us, kill Amalek. That's what it did. And so that's why Moshe, so that's why you could read this like that, Sam. Maybe Moshe was hesitating. Should I keep my hands up? Keep my down? So that's why the next verse tells us, V'dei Moshe kvedim, Moshe's hands were heavy. Vayechu heaven, vayasimu tachtav. Moshe maybe he wasn't, maybe it doesn't mean that they were literally heavy, but maybe he was getting a lot of pressure from the people saying, just make peace with Amalek. Just make peace with them and all be okay. You know, that's what it means it was heavy. They were pushing him to make peace. So they said, take a stone. Why a stone? The stone is immovable. Yeah, to say you can't make peace. Vayeshev aleh, and he sat on it. Ma'aron v'chur tamchu biyadav. They held up his hands. Mizeh each one on either side of Vahi Adav Emunah. And his hands were, Emunah means, now we translate Emunah today as faithful, but Emunah means here strong. Ad Bo Hashemesh. His hands stayed, they were strong until the sun came.
So who was it that God said we were supposed to destroy them?
This is it, Amalek.
And because we didn't, we're suffering to this day.
Well, I don't think that's the only reason we're suffering, but yes, what happened was Amalek, we're told to destroy Amalek, and the story in the book of Shmuel is that the king of Agag, Shaul, killed Amalek, but he left alive the king of Agag. And then Shmuel, when he heard this, came right away and he killed Agag. But that night, Agag was left alive for one night. And that one night that Agag was left alive, he got out and he impregnated a harlot. And from that union came Haman. So meaning to say, the whole idea is all the problems that we have in the world from Haman came from misplaced compassion. And the verse says, the Talmud says, if you are merciful on the cruel, in the end you'll be cruel to the merciful. So people don't like to say this because it's not really politically correct, but it is in the Bible. It is in the Talmud and the Bible.
But then my understanding is we were
Yeah.
stop. I just sit down to be able to figure this out.
All right. Well, so let me read it. In the meantime, what does the Rashi say? Moshe's hands were heavy. Why? Because he was delayed with the mitzvah, and he appointed another to lead the troops in his stead. His hands became heavy. Moshe shouldn't have appointed Joshua. he should have gone out directly to do it. So the question is, why did he, I'm sorry, Benji, had a question?
Yeah, what's not politically?
Some people say that you always have to make peace, peace, peace.
Oh.
And there is that element of it. Hey, Elon, how you doing? Amazing to see you. Love it when we see you. Love it when we see you. So there is this element of, like people think like that religion is only peace. And that's true. The ultimate goal is peace, but sometimes in order to get to peace, you have to be strong. Like Churchillian strong. Can you imagine if Churchill there are a lot of British prime ministers who, before Churchill, who were saying we have to appease the Nazis, National Party, we can't take them on. That was the prevailing party in England until Churchill came in. And if that had happened, you and I wouldn't be here, Ben. We would be killed. So that's what it says. Whoever is compassionate to the cruel, in the end will be cruel to the compassionate. And it's like if we do this now. You have a murderer and you say, you know what, I don't want to hold you accountable. I'll just release you. And then what do you think is going to happen? The murderer will go and kill an innocent person. So are you really being compassionate or are you being cruel? You're being cruel to the what? Yeah.
Norman Mailer was the writer, did that interview with that mass murderer, and he gained so much sympathy from the guy,
Yeah.
but he was released and then he went out and killed again.
Yeah, that's what happens a lot.
Norman Mailer was asked, he was interviewed,
Yeah.
do you feel culpability for having raised so much sympathy for him?
What did he say?
No.
Of course not. These people don't take any accountability. So it says they took his hands became heavy because he didn't rush to do the mitzvah. Why not? Why did Moshe appoint Yeshua? Moshe said, well, Yeshua is from Ephraim, and Amalek is a descendant of Esav. And so it says in Obadiah that the house of Joseph will burn Amalek's house. So he thought Joshua would do better. But really, he should have gone out himself and done it. Anyway, so they took this and they put a stone underneath him. But Moshe did not sit himself on a pillow or cushion. He said, if the Jewish people are in grief, how can I be with them in a state of grief? And he was with his hands in faith. Rashi says his hands were stuck out to heaven in prayer until the sun set. Because the Amalekites calculated in their astrology that what time they would be victorious. And Moshe made the sun stand in place and he jumbled the hours. So that's the Gemara that said that not only Joshua made the sun stand, but also Moshe did. They only say here the Tanchuma, but I remember the Gemara says that Moshe was like Joshua and he made the sun stand still. So now, and Joshua weakened Amalek by the sword. What did he do? He cut off the heads of Amalek and he left only the weak amongst them, but he didn't kill all of them. So from here we see that he acted by the word of God. How did he know who was weak? But this was the problem. He thought he was finishing Amalek off, but guess what? Amalek still existed in the time of Shmuel. But these people had 3 commandments when they went into the land of Israel. What were the 3 commandments? Anybody know?
Keep Shabbat.
No, they had special commandments, but 3 things that they were supposed to do right when they came in. Yes, Jerry.
Proceed with the three commandments, and then I'll make a comment.
The 3 commandments were to.
We're supposed to take some rocks and put some.
No. You're right. No, you're right. But that's not what I was referring to. No. But you're right. But the Gemara talks about the 3 commandments that they were supposed to do. But you're correct. But there's a category of the 3, and those were appoint a king, destroy Amalek, and build a temple. And so they did those 3 things. But you're correct. They had other commandments, obviously, that connected to the land. But these were 3 things they were supposed to do about, I guess, having to do with conquering the land. Yes, Jerry.
Well, going to those 3 things. The first thing, appoint a king. That's exactly what the in the book of the prophets, they were warned, the Jewish people were warned against appointing a king. So I don't understand why.
Right, so that's the classic question. That's the classic question. If they were supposed to appoint a king, why did they end up being punished for that? And so the answer, the commentaries say, is the way they asked. They said, we want a king to be like all the other nations. They didn't want a king as part of their service to Hashem. They wanted a king to be like all the other nations. That's the classic answer to that question. But you're correct, of course.
Okay. My I'm going to say something that's going to be not very popular.
Okay, wait, let me just stop the recording.